This narrative delves into the intriguing tale of John William Cooper, who was born on September 3, 1944, in the picturesque setting of Pembrokeshire. Cooper's life was a complex web of contrasting personas, as he skillfully navigated between the idyllic hedgerows of the countryside and his hidden malevolent intentions. Despite his sinister inclinations, he managed to cloak himself in a veil of respectability within the community. For instance, he was actively involved in the Milford Haven Sea Angling Club, where his charming facade masked the darkness lurking within. Between the ages of 17 and 21, Cooper was charged with grand theft auto, assaulting a law enforcement officer, engaging in public intoxication and disorderly conduct, and committing assault resulting in actual bodily harm, ABH. Moreover, Cooper's duality extended to his participation in local darts competitions, where he not only competed but also officiated with a sense of authority and camaraderie. One notable instance was when he proudly represented the Bridgendine in Haverfordwest, showcasing his dexterity in the game of darts. Additionally, his compassionate side emerged when he took on the role of caring for his granddaughter as his own, especially after she suffered from the debilitating effects of meningitis. Hailing from the vibrant town of Milford Haven, Cooper's educational journey diverged early on, as he bid farewell to formal schooling at the tender age of 15. Despite this, he embarked on an apprenticeship in upholstery and carpentry, skills that would later serve him well in the construction industry. However, his thirst for physical labor led him to toil in the fields and farms scattered across the picturesque landscape of Pembrokeshire. As time unraveled the layers of Cooper's life, he became infamous for a far more chilling reason: his heinous acts as a Welsh serial killer. The juxtaposition of his seemingly ordinary existence with his dark deeds serves as a haunting reminder of the enigmatic complexities that can reside within an individual. Cooper's story stands as a stark testament to the fact that beneath the veneer of normalcy, profound darkness can sometimes lurk, waiting to be unveiled. On May 26, 2011, he received a life sentence for the double murders of siblings Richard and Helen Thomas in 1985, as well as the double murders of Peter and Gwenda Dixon in 1989. These crimes became widely known in the media as the Pembrokeshire Murders or the Coastal Murders. Additionally, Cooper was convicted for the rape of a 16-year-old girl and the sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl, both incidents occurring in March 1996 when a group of 5 teenagers was held at gunpoint in a wooded area behind the Mount Estate in his hometown of Milford Haven, Pembrokeshire. Cooper's history was characterized by a series of criminal activities, which included a total of 30 robberies and numerous instances of violence. These unlawful actions painted a vivid picture of a troubled individual immersed in a world of crime and chaos. However, it was a seemingly unrelated event that would ultimately play a crucial role in his downfall. In the month of May in the year 1989, Cooper made an unexpected appearance as a contestant on the popular television game show Bullseye. Little did he know that this seemingly innocuous decision would later come back to haunt him. The turning point came when law enforcement officials decided to juxtapose Cooper's appearance on Bullseye with a police sketch of a suspect involved in the heinous murder of the Dixons. The comparison revealed unsettling similarities that could not be ignored. This unexpected connection shed new light on Cooper's involvement in the crime, raising suspicion and prompting a deeper investigation into his background and possible motives. The stark contrast between his public persona on the game show and the sinister implications of the police sketch painted a complex and chilling portrait of a man capable of hiding his true nature behind a facade of normalcy. Cooper, a man in his 30s during the year 1978, achieved triumph in a challenging spot-the-ball competition, securing a generous prize amounting to £90,000, a substantial sum that, by today's standards, would be valued at over £600,000. Despite the substantial windfall he received, it became evident that his fortune quickly dwindled as a result of extravagant spending habits and a penchant for indulging in high-stakes gambling activities. Subsequently, in the year 1983, Cooper embarked on a series of burglaries, signaling the beginning of a descent into a criminal lifestyle. As the years progressed, his criminal activities escalated, culminating in his eventual incarceration in 1998 for 14 years. By the time he faced imprisonment, Cooper had engaged in a total of 30 burglaries, in addition to committing a violent armed robbery that further solidified his criminal reputation. The transition from a seemingly fortuitous competition win to a life of crime underscores the drastic turn of events in Cooper's life, highlighting the consequences of unchecked behavior and poor decision-making. The allure of easy money and thrill-seeking tendencies ultimately led him down a path fraught with legal repercussions and personal turmoil. The tale of Cooper serves as a cautionary reminder of the perils associated with succumbing to vices and the importance of making sound choices to avoid a similar fate. In the 8th year of his incarceration, Angela Gallup, the Chief Executive Officer of Forensic Access, was enlisted by Detective Chief Superintendent Steve Wilkins to aid in Operation Ottawa. Angela and her team were tasked with scrutinizing 2 unsolved double homicides and a series of sexual assaults at gunpoint that transpired in Milford Haven. Angela Gallup's expertise in forensic analysis played a pivotal role in shedding light on the intricate details of the unsolved cases. As a seasoned professional in the field, she meticulously examined the evidence, ranging from DNA samples to ballistic reports, to piece together the puzzle that had confounded investigators for years. Her meticulous approach and attention to detail were instrumental in uncovering crucial leads that had previously gone unnoticed. The collaboration between Angela Gallup and Detective Chief Superintendent Steve Wilkins exemplified the synergy between law enforcement and forensic science. By combining their respective expertise, they were able to delve deep into the heart of the investigations, unraveling the complexities that surrounded the double homicides and sexual assaults. This partnership not only brought a fresh perspective to the cases but also instilled a renewed sense of hope within the community of Milford Haven. Operation Ottawa marked a turning point in the pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. Through Angela Gallup's unwavering dedication and forensic acumen, significant progress was made in unraveling the mysteries that had haunted the town for so long. The collaborative effort between law enforcement and forensic experts served as a beacon of hope, demonstrating the power of teamwork in overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. Case 1: The homicide of Richard and Helen Thomas. On December 22, 1985, a terrible discovery was made at Scoveston Park. Siblings Richard and Helen Thomas were both dead. Helen's body was found downstairs, a scene of utter devastation. She had suffered terrible burns. Debris from the collapsed bedroom was scattered around her. Richard was found on the first-floor landing, a short distance away. Detectives from Dyfed-Powys Police first thought it might be a murder-suicide. A financial disagreement between Richard and Helen seemed the likely cause. But certain details didn't quite fit. A muddy blanket lay close to Richard's body. There was also a pool of blood nearby. The outhouse held more grim finds. 3 cartridge casings were discovered there. This suggested Richard might have been shot in the outhouse area. Had he been attacked there? Perhaps he was then wrapped in the blanket. It's possible he was dragged back to the house, leaving traces of mud along the way. The police are working to understand what truly happened. Regrettably, there is limited information available regarding this case. Case 2: The murder of Peter and Gwenda Dixon. For years later, Peter and Gwenda Dixon, a married couple, tragically lost their lives at the hands of John Cooper, just a short distance away on the Pembrokeshire coastal path. Marketing manager Peter Dixon, 51 years old, found joy in his daily jogs, a routine that not only kept him physically fit but also provided a mental escape from the demands of his professional life. His wife, Gwenda, aged 52, took a different approach to staying active by engaging in spirited games of badminton, a sport that not only kept her physically active but also allowed her to socialize with friends and colleagues. Living in Witney, Oxfordshire, a picturesque town known for its charming streets and vibrant community, the couple shared a love for their vibrant red Ford Sierra, a symbol of their shared adventures and family outings. Peter's brother, Keith, an experienced airline pilot, often remarked that Peter and Gwenda were the epitome of a quintessential English family, a statement that encapsulated their strong bond, shared values, and commitment to each other. Despite their busy schedules and diverse interests, the Dixons always made time for family dinners, weekend getaways, and community events, showcasing a harmonious blend of individual pursuits and collective experiences. Peter's dedication to his marketing career was matched by Gwenda's unwavering support as a secretary for the local social services department, a role that allowed her to make a positive impact on the lives of others in their community. As the Dixon family navigated the ups and downs of life together, they cherished the simple moments of laughter, shared meals, and mutual respect that defined their relationships. From Peter's early morning runs to Gwenda's competitive badminton matches, each activity served as a reminder of their unique personalities and complementary strengths. Whether exploring the scenic countryside of Oxfordshire or attending local cultural events, the Dixons approached life with a sense of curiosity, openness, and gratitude for the blessings that surrounded them. In a world filled with complexities and challenges, Peter and Gwenda Dixon stood out as a beacon of warmth, kindness, and authenticity, embodying the timeless values of family, love, and togetherness. But on the bright morning of June 29, 1989, they found themselves at the heart of one of the most remarkable and perplexing homicide cases in Britain. They were strolling along a pathway near Little Haven, Pembrokeshire, a route they had frequented every summer holiday for 15 years, when they were tragically gunned down. The couple departed from their tent at the Howlston Camping and Caravan Park managed by Margaret Davies for a leisurely walk before heading back to their residence in Oxfordshire. However, they vanished without a trace thereafter. Mrs. Davies later engaged in a telephone conversation with the couple's worried son Tim, who was then in his early 20s and is now a nuclear scientist. The couple's daughter Julie, now married mother Julie Prattley aged 45, had, for the first time, embarked on an overseas vacation to Cyprus that week instead of accompanying her parents to Little Haven as she and Tim had done for numerous years. The bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Dixon were discovered by Dyfed-Powys police officer, now retired, Mike Collars. The discovery was prompted by a concerned member of the public who noticed a swarm of flies near a clifftop location. Upon arriving at the scene, Mr. Collars was met with a strong, unmistakable odor of death. Despite being in close proximity to the bodies, they were cleverly concealed under hazel twigs and bracken, making them difficult to spot at first glance. The situation was grim and eerie, with the bodies hidden from plain view, hinting at a deliberate attempt to obscure the tragic discovery. Mr. Collars, a seasoned officer, was no stranger to such scenes, but the calculated effort to hide the bodies added a chilling layer to the already somber atmosphere. The buzzing of flies and the overpowering stench only added to the unsettling nature of the find. As Mr. Collars carefully approached the concealed bodies, the gravity of the situation became even more apparent. The meticulous screening of the bodies raised questions about the circumstances surrounding their deaths. The hazel twigs and bracken served as a macabre veil, shrouding the deceased couple in secrecy. In the realm of law enforcement, such cases demand a thorough investigation to unravel the mystery behind the tragic demise of Mr. and Mrs. Dixon. The initial discovery was just the tip of the iceberg, leading to a complex web of inquiries and forensic examinations. The involvement of the public in reporting the unusual activity near the clifftop spot underscored the importance of community vigilance in upholding law and order. In conclusion, the discovery of the Dixon couple's bodies marked the beginning of a challenging investigation that would delve into the depths of the unknown. The dedication and expertise of officers like Mr. Collars would be crucial in piecing together the puzzle of what truly transpired on that fateful day. Mr. Collars said the bracken had been replanted over the bodies with the roots intact, a method of creating a countryside hide SAS troopers had taught Dyfed-Powys police officers as part of rural observation training in operations against drug smugglers. Mrs. Dixon was found without clothing from the waist down. Prosecutor Gerard Elias QC stated, "It is highly probable that Gwenda Dixon's body, whether alive or deceased, had experienced inappropriate sexual acts." Meanwhile, Peter Dixon's body was discovered just a short distance from his wife's, closer to the 200-foot cliff edge, lying face down and fully dressed. His hands were bound together behind his back with a piece of grey 3-ply polyethylene rope. Gwenda Dixon endured 2 shotgun injuries, one located in the middle of her back and the other affecting her right chest. Additionally, she sustained an injury to the left side of her head, which was severe enough to potentially render her unconscious and resulted in a mild hemorrhage on the brain's membrane. Mr. Elias questioned, what was the reason behind the blow to her head? Was it to reinforce the killer's threats? Mr. Dixon sustained 3 shotgun injuries, one to the back, another to the right side of the chest, and a third to the head. According to the pathologist's assessment, Peter Dixon was still alive when the headshot was inflicted, resulting in the destruction of the central portion of his face and brain. It is evident that the rucksack carried by one of the assailants was searched for small valuables. At approximately 10 a.m. on June 29, vacationers at Little Haven Beach reported hearing loud noises, which they attributed to agricultural activities in the vicinity. Percival Hart, who was mowing grass at All Saints Church in Little Haven, also noted that he heard what could have been gunfire during that period. Peter Dixon's gold wedding ring and his wallet, which held various items including his NatWest cash card, were notably absent from the scene. The killer utilized this card, entering the correct PIN, to withdraw cash from NatWest ATMs in Pembroke on the day of the murder, likely within 2 hours of the incident, and subsequently in Carmarthen and Haverfordwest in the days that followed. Mr. Elias expressed, "It's unimaginable to comprehend the sheer terror that Mr. and Mrs. Dixon experienced during those harrowing moments of captivity leading up to their tragic end. Words alone cannot convey the depth of their suffering. We cannot ascertain who faced the threat or gunfire first, nor can we know if Peter Dixon was alive to witness the horrific assault on his wife. It is evident that, through various means, whether through coercion, intimidation, or the use of violence, that Cooper managed to obtain the PIN number for the cash card from the Dixons, likely targeting Peter, as it was his card." Mr. Elias remarked, "Consider that 5 shots were fired from a double-barrel shotgun, just 20 yards away from the cliff path, during mid-morning at the end of June. This individual exhibited a high level of confidence in his capacity to evade detection and maintain the secrecy of his hideout. Furthermore, he demonstrated sufficient assurance to invest time following the murders in constructing a barrier by breaking, bending, and snapping branches. This individual was familiar with the area and the routes in and out. However, he failed to consider that by breaking and snapping branches, he would leave behind fibers from his gloves, which would eventually connect him to this and other crimes. Law enforcement officers went door-to-door within a 10-mile radius of the crime scene, reaching out to witnesses across Britain and Western Europe. They collected an astonishing 6,000 statements, setting a new record for the number of phone calls generated by a BBC Crime Watch program. Detectives diligently pursued every possible lead, investigating unusual divers spotted in the bay, a cow's ear captured in a photograph, signatures found in a church visitor's book, and even a fragment of conversation overheard by a radio enthusiast. They explored theories that started with straightforward robbery and evolved into narratives involving drug traffickers who allegedly murdered the duo after witnessing drugs being unloaded, as well as an execution carried out by the Provisional IRA after they inadvertently discovered an arms cache. The BBC's Crime Watch program utilized a photo fit of a disheveled, unkempt man with bushy hair who was observed using Mr. Dixon's cash card to solicit information on sightings. The program received a record-breaking 380 calls before midnight and nearly 1,200 additional calls in the following days, including one from a lorry driver who believed he had offered a ride to a German man traveling along the M4 to Neath. The police reached out to all youth hostels in the vicinity, compiled a list of young male individuals from the Stuttgart region, coordinated with Interpol, the German Youth Hostel Association, and 50 various media organizations in Germany, ultimately locating their suspect. He had yet to encounter a disheveled stranger riding a vintage bicycle. His knowledge was limited. The police processed the film from Peter Dixon's camera, which was found at the crime scene, and utilized it to piece together their vacation, even enlarging an image of a Hereford cow to decipher the number on its ear tag and determine its location. In September, police thought the IRA could have been involved. 2 labourers repairing a wooden sign along the Pembrokeshire coastal path discovered a collection of wires and switches buried in the ground. This turned out to be an IRA arms cache. Could it be that IRA members misidentified Mr. Dixon, a nature enthusiast observing the landscape with his binoculars, as a member of law enforcement or security services? A year later, following the sentencing of 2 IRA members to 30 years in prison related to the arms discovery, detectives visited Polkhurst Prison on the Isle of Wight and Full Sutton Prison in Yorkshire to question them directly. However, the 2 individuals declined to provide any assistance. The Dixon murders would continue to be an enigma for nearly 20 years. Case 3: Assault and Rape at Gunpoint. There were several victims in this case. The third unresolved incident took place 7 years later, where 5 young individuals were assaulted in Milford Haven. The group of teenagers strolled through a field when a man suddenly approached them, insisting that they hand over some money. Then held them at gunpoint while he sexually assaulted one of the girls and raped another. After reviewing the 3 cases, Steve Wilkins was convinced John Cooper was a prime suspect. Cooper was approaching the time when he would qualify for release from prison. Steve requested assistance from Angela Gallup and her team. They started their investigation by searching for foreign DNA, specifically DNA that differed from that of the victims and could potentially belong to the perpetrator, in all the likely locations. From the rope that had been used to tie Peter Dixon's hands behind his back, his belt. Gwenda's clothing that had been adjusted, either pulled down or pushed up. And swabs that had been taken from their bodies. The preliminary DNA analysis yielded inconclusive results, prompting an expansion of the forensic investigation. Beginning with textile fibers, they also examined the crime scene to assist in prioritizing their search efforts. Almost immediately, investigators began to discover blue acrylic fibers on the branches employed to conceal the bodies, as well as on Peter Dixon's belt. As they knew the offender must have handled those branches extensively, it looked as though he had been wearing gloves. It is possible that this could be another factor contributing to their difficulties in locating any foreign DNA that may have originated from him. Cooper's M.O. for burglary included the practice of disposing of unwanted items, such as incriminating equipment, in hedgerows during his walk home. A significant quantity of discarded items was found, including numerous gloves, several of which were crafted from blue acrylic fibers. One of the gloves was constructed from fibers that corresponded with certain fibers found on the branches and on Peter's belt, and other fibers were so similar they thought that they were probably from its missing pair. It was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. Fiber evidence started to accumulate, and during the analysis of the adhesive tapes employed to gather this evidence from a pair of shorts discovered in Cooper's residence, a small blood flake was identified. DNA testing matched this blood to Peter Dixon. Additional incriminating evidence was obtained from a sawn-off shotgun associated with Cooper. Which had been discovered in a hedgerow during the burglary investigations. Forensic analysis identified blood on this item, which matched the DNA profile of Peter Dixon. There were also significant connections related to textile fibers with the 2 girls who had been sexually assaulted in Milford Haven. Fibers located on the interior of the girls' garments may have originated from a pair of gloves that were found in a hedgerow. And other fibers transferred in the reverse direction, from the clothing to the gloves. Although evidence accumulated, there remained a lingering uncertainty regarding the source of a particular bloodstain found within the hem of the shorts. DNA analysis indicated that this bloodstain may have originated from the daughter of Peter Dixon. The question then was, how was her blood on shorts recovered from Cooper? The team suddenly realized the possibility that the shorts might have belonged to one of the Dixons. And Cooper found them while he was searching through their rucksacks. He had decided to swap them for his own bloodstained shorts. Phil Arvainell, a prominent DNA scientist affiliated with Forensic Access, was assigned the responsibility of unraveling this and other intricate matters. By integrating these elements and collaborating closely with law enforcement and legal professionals, it quickly became clear that, rather than detracting from the essential evidence, the findings actually reinforced it. In 2011, Cooper was convicted of the murders of Richard and Helen Thomas, along with the murders of Peter and Gwenda Dixon, in addition to being found guilty of a serious sexual assault. 5 attempted robberies were committed against young individuals who unfortunately crossed paths with him in the field. The sentence that he received was life. Combined with DNA evidence revealed by meticulous searching, this contributed to Cooper's conviction in 2011. The scientists involved all received formal commendations for their work. He famously appeared on the Bullseye program only a month before he murdered the Dixons. Footage of his appearance on the show was shown in court during the trial to compare his likeness to that of a man seen using Peter Dixon's cash card on the day of his murder. The cold case review which led to Cooper's conviction has also been turned into a 3-part drama miniseries on ITV called The Pembrokeshire Murders, featuring Hollywood actor Luke Evans. Cooper was described in court by the judge as a very dangerous man, highly predatory who, but for advances in forensic science, may well have continued to evade capture. He was also found guilty of further offences including rape, indecent assault, and 4 counts of attempted robbery. He filed for an appeal in 2012, but this was rejected. In May 2011, after Cooper was found guilty of 4 murders, it emerged that law enforcement was considering reopening the investigation into the enigmatic death of a woman from 1989. This woman, Flo Evans, lived in close proximity to Cooper, just 2 miles away from Scufston Park, where he committed crimes in 1985. Evans, a 72-year-old widow, was discovered fully clothed in a partially filled cold bath in her cottage shortly after Cooper had killed Peter and Gwenda Dixon in 1989. Both Cooper and his wife, Pat, were familiar with Evans and often visited her small holding, where Cooper regularly assisted her with various tasks. During his trial, Cooper referenced Evans as part of his defense, claiming he had been in her home, even though detectives were already aware of the suspicious circumstances surrounding her death. Her home was located in an area where Cooper had carried out several burglaries. Evans's family had long suspected that her death was not accidental, particularly since she had never taken baths and there was no hot water available at the time, as the kitchen fire had not been lit. Officially, her death was ruled accidental, with authorities positing that she must have slipped, hit her head, and drowned. After Cooper's conviction, police contacted Evans's family to discuss her death, suggesting a potential link between Cooper and Evans.